Now, each and every week on Tuesday, many of you will know that we usually get the insurance registrations covering the total number of insurance registrations or sales that some of our favorite EV stocks like NIO generated for last week. Without wasting any more of your time, NIO last week had a total insurance registrations of around 7,200, which is an 18% increase from the 6,100 we saw last week. Now, this is something that is pretty decent because, look, the last week of July, NIO had 7,900 sales, and seeing them reporting now 7,200, it appears that there is an improvement when it comes to the total deliveries that they made last week, or the insurance registrations that they made, or that was under NIO last week, which is absolutely great. And it shows us that, look, improvement indeed is here, because when you have a look at each brand under NIO, you will notice there that NIO had 2,500 cars, which is up from the 2,200 cars they had on last week's report. Then Onvo had 3,900 cars, which was better than the 3,200 they had last week. Then we've got Firefly, which sold around 800 cars, which was better than the 700 cars we saw last week. So all the three brands did pretty well, and they saw a much better figures than those they reported or that we saw on last week's report. This now overall puts NIO at the top 4 spot, and you will notice that this list of course excludes BYD and Tesla. Looking at this list, NIO is at the top 4 because the first spot goes to Leapmotor, which had of course 10,400. Then Xpeng with 7,900. You've got Ato at 7,700. Then our very own NIO 7,200. Xiaomi 7,200. So this week we did better than Xiaomi, right? Then Li Auto 5,600. Li Auto has been struggling recently. Depal 4,000. FCB 3.4. Zika 3.3. Boya 3.2. So judging from what we saw on this list last week, it appears that all of these car makers, or most of these car makers on this list, reported also an increase in volumes when it comes to the insurance registration figures last week, which is something that is good. And I think for us, especially for NIO, it makes us look forward to the more insurance registrations that are still coming. But the 7,200, don't get it twisted, these are pretty good, decent insurance registrations. What this simply means is that obviously now, since the first full 2 weeks are in, and we saw this 7,200, it simply means that in 2 weeks, or in the last 2 weeks, NIO had 13,000 or around 13,300 cars in just obviously 2 weeks. But remember now, there are still the first 3 days of August that needs to be factored in. And remember, for the Onvo L90, in those 3 days they sold almost 2,000 cars, and there were also the others like Onvo and of course NIO Brand. So there are still those, which might just simply means that right now, as I'm doing this video, NIO it's around plus minus of course 16,000-17,000 cars, and we are still left with sort of like this week and next week insurance registrations to wrap up the month of August, which this tells me something very interesting, and that is deliveries are coming as the base for NIO this month, which means that all-time high is no more longer a question of if whether it will come, but the biggest question right now is, how far can NIO go when it comes to crashing their all-time high of over 30,000 cars we saw in December, which is something that is very good, something that is very interesting. You will know that this week, looking at the history of insurance registrations, the last 2 weeks of the month usually are the ones that you will see a lot of insurance registrations, which if first week, second week, we saw 6.1 and then 7.2. This week and next week, I can tell you that, of course, the numbers are going to improve and even become much better than the numbers that we are seeing now. This is what we usually see on the insurance registrations, because this thing that appears to happen in China, in fact globally, where people towards the end of the month, they want to grab their brand new cars as possible, or they want to see themselves driving new cars, which is why you would usually see people going a slight demand in car purchases towards the end of the month, right? Because not a lot of people have money first, second, but third, fourth, people are already planning, which is why you would usually see insurance registrations coming better towards the end of the month. So that alone gives me the confidence to say that the insurance registrations for this week and next week are going to be so great. I mean, this month ends next week, and therefore we still have full 2 weeks for NIO to demonstrate what they can really do in terms of insurance registrations, which we look forward to that. I think we should brace ourselves for that because blue sky is coming. So yeah, man, I just thought I'd quickly come and give you this update. Tell me what you think. Look, target for Firefly, you'll remember that is 4,000. I think the Onvo sub-brand has got a potential to sell somewhere between 15 and 17,000. NIO main brand, maybe 12 to 15,000. And when you add all of those, you'll realize that 15,000 becomes the base, because we are still going to get to see even more improvements in terms of deliveries. Oh, and this is what is making me to conclude that 35,000 is the base. In fact, I see NIO delivering somewhere between 35 and 38,000 this month, which is going to be so great. I know we wanted 40,000, but 35, 38, it will still be so great when looking at where NIO is coming from. NIO is doing whatever they can to deliver as many vehicles as they can, especially for the sub-brand Onvo, which just launched end of July, and delivery started on the 1st of August. We're expecting a lot from that car. Yesterday we covered the fact that the CEO said they might have to delay the launch of the L80 because the demand of the L90 is just so massive, which I suppose is a good initiative or a good idea, because they need to meet the demand that is on the Onvo L90 here first before they can start dealing with the orders that would come from their new brand under Onvo called the L80, which is something that we discussed in broad yesterday. So me, I'm happy, I'm excited. Tell me what you think about this. Like this video, subscribe, because it takes me some time to make videos like this, and all I ask from you is to give it a thumbs up so that at least it can be spread out by YouTube to the other investors that want to know more about NIO. You will know that on this channel, all day, every day, I give you NIO's latest developments, because I believe their fundamentals and their future prospects, and those that are persevering will most definitely be rewarded with time. I will see you on the next one. That is all from me, and God bless you all.